James Gunn, you madman. Let's talk about the finale. What is up, Flick fans? Welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking the season finale of Peacemaker, and in the second half of the video, I'm just going to give you my overall thoughts of the season and a final score. Thanks so much for being here. If you're a fan of Peacemaker, please let me know down below. This is a spoiler-filled review, so drop any comment you want. What was your favorite part of this finale? What was your favorite part of the season? There is so much goodness to come from this show. Thank you guys again, and if you like this video, drop your thumbs up. But in terms of what this finale was actually, at least what I was hoping it would give us, was the proper arc for some of these storylines coming to a close, but also delivering on a great battle between this butterfly army and our crew. Now that is something that we obviously got in the midst of this episode, and I was super happy with. It was bloody, it was violent, and seeing Peacemaker actually wield his shield, like Captain America, right? It was super cool to see. But beyond that, we still have some emotional storylines at play. Peacemaker literally just killed his father, and I love how this series played out, right? You're setting up and establishing two antagonist bodies. It's the butterflies infesting the police officers, and then, of course, Peacemaker's very racist, very mean, and just overall horrible father. And even though that scene included a laugh, thanks to Vigilante, I thought the performance by Cena was fantastic, and now he is still obviously really reeling from the fallout because he literally just shot his father, who was a terrible person, but clearly he is still right in here, right in his mind. Harcourt stands there and watches Peacemaker have a full conversation with a tree. He even shoots a little dart at him, which was pretty funny, but at the end of the day, this is something he's going to have to slowly continue to get over. It's also a nice way, since he's having these conversations, to maybe continue to include Robert Patrick for future seasons. We know we're getting a season 2, by the way. That was announced by James Gunn. But we wanted to know how this story would culminate with the butterflies and this holy cow. And I mean literally a holy cow. How in the world are you going to get past this army of individuals? And understandably so. Peacemaker, Harcourt, Vigilante, they can handle their own. So it's not like you don't have faith in the crew to get it done. You also, even I said to myself, if our main three, they get caught up in something, I feel like Adebayo and John, they've established those characters as characters that may not be in the midst of battle, even though Adebayo clearly is in this episode, but they do have the wits to pull it off. And I believe that's the best thing I can say about this show, is it has built each member of this team up in a way to where you believe they can get it done as a team, but also individually. Right, clearly Peacemaker, Vigilante, and Harcourt, they can hold their own, but it's the other members for me, and just the overall vibe that this team has once they come together in this episode, even with their disagreements all throughout the series, and their arguments and their little scuffles that they got in and not being able to trust each other. But you also had the idea of avenging Clemson, even though he was clearly a butterfly, but avenging him in the way that makes it feel like you're doing something meaningful. Also, going up against her mother, Amanda Waller. Amanda Waller is obviously sitting back thinking to herself, okay, this is still my team, this is still my crew, but at the end of the episode, we see that her daughter reveals all of this publicly, so it makes me sit back and say, do we ever get another Suicide Squad movie? And I think we will, or at least some sort of TV format at some point, right? But now the public knows about the concept of the Suicide Squad. They also know about Peacemaker, which is great, saying he was an undercover operative, all of this stuff. So clearing his name as an anti-hero, now I guess more so superhero. But it just makes me sit back and kind of question, contemplate the future of this franchise. There's also, and I don't know if this was confirmed, a rumor of sorts going around that Harcourt is possibly going to be in Black Adam. So there's your crossover right there. Now there's another crossover, clearly, in this episode. We'll talk about it here in just a second. But I want to go back to the actual battle going towards the holy cow. Harcourt, she holds her own, clearly, in battle, but she gets taken out to the point to where I thought maybe she was dead. I was so worried for her well-being, and I didn't know how much I cared about her character until she went down, until I was just so upset that she was possibly dead. Vigilante went down as well. I believed that he was good regardless, and we see him kind of collapse in the hospital, which is pretty funny. He's the kind of guy that, he does what it takes You know, we see that in the last episode. He passes out while he's driving the car. He always thinks he can make it out alive. In this episode, he almost didn't. So I enjoyed seeing that character seem a bit more human because he's always just doing the most kind of badass thing possible, and he does it again in this TV show. But the battle, man, once again, seeing everyone running at the army of butterflies and a bloody, violent Suicide Squad-esque battle that they get themselves into, it was awesome. Full stylized, James Gunn madness like we know and love. And I just really appreciated what this finale did in terms of the action. It really, really delivered. We also have Peacemaker's various helmets, and each one has their role. In this episode specifically, I love the scene where he tries to tell Eagly to take the helmet and just drop it, and Eagly's just like, all right, listen, I'm going to do what I think you told me to do, and he just kind of drops it on the other side of the forest. That was fantastic. I absolutely loved their dynamic, their relationship. Of course, what happened to Eagly with the hug, that was very sweet. It was wonderful, and when I thought Eagly went down for good, I was in shambles, but that's a different episode. The scene where Adebayo has on the helmet when she goes to help Peacemaker after he is actually helped by our leader of the butterflies, at least at this point of sorts, and gets launched because Peacemaker says the code word at the wall was just, and there were so many moments in the series as a whole, but especially in this episode where a character thinks they're about to go do something really heroic and it just doesn't happen. And you know what that does? It makes it feel real. It makes it feel like these are characters, everyday superhero type characters that are just trying to come out of this mission alive, and they think they're about to do something really cool, and it just kind of fails when John goes in posing as a butterfly, has those conversations, and then he gets attacked, of course, tries to go back into battle, just trips over this fence, and it looks like he completely destroys his leg. I love that because it gives it this real tone, even though they're getting all jokey in the midst of some devastating scenes. That's also something that fits with these characters. So it's just very good writing. Not surprisingly, phenomenal writing for a series that could have easily been lazy. But then we get the speech, listen, you have a purpose, your purpose is to help us, we're here to help humanity, all of this stuff, and Peacemaker's like, yeah, this is my purpose. Boom, 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 you're dead, and then he launches poor Adebayo into the holy cow. I kind of felt bad for the cow. It's just, it's a big, scary-looking creature, but it's also kind of like, the cow didn't do anything, it just kind of got shot. But then is the moment that everybody was probably freaking out about. I know I was freaking out about it, is the ongoing joke with Aquaman where he's, getting all intimate with the fish. That was really funny the first time he said it, but I didn't really think anything of it. But we have a lot of reoccurring jokes and jokes that come back into play in this series, and this was obviously the biggest one because the Justice League, they show up at the end. That's right, the Justice League, it's still a thing in this universe, but of course they're not going to get Henry Cavill back because we don't know if he's coming back as the character. So as soon as I saw Superman, I said, we're not going to see Superman. And you could tell we're not going to see Superman. Probably not going to see Wonder Woman. But who are the two actors making movies or having movies released this year? That would be Jason Momoa as Aquaman, Ezra Miller as the Flash, and as soon as I saw Aquaman, I said, it's going to be Momoa. And sure enough, we get a very small back and forth between the Flash and Aquaman, both of them fitting right into this Peacemaker world, and Aquaman basically saying, shut up, it's not true. And Flash is like, and that's just like, that was so perfect for the show. I didn't actually think the Justice League would show up. I didn't know James Gunn would be the madman that he truly is and get those two big-name actors to be in this series. I love the fact that they were late. I love the fact that they had that back and forth with Peacemaker, and it was perfect, man. It was so perfect. Aquaman, obviously, with his new big orange suit, fitting right in with the canon that we've established. I loved it. That was easily, I flipped out when I saw it. I was so excited. So, that's the moment that I need your comments about down below, man. Well, what did you think when they showed up? Because I truly didn't know. I didn't believe it was going to be the case. So all in all, I thought it was a great finale for a great show. And just to speak on my thoughts on the show as a whole, like I mentioned before, so many great character arcs. I love the dynamic between Peacemaker and the entire team. Some jokes that were just, absolutely hilarious. Some highlights of the season include, obviously, when Peacemaker is listing off all of the people instead of, he lists off like 60 individuals, and I read that James Gunn said some of that was scripted, some of that was him making things up, some of it was me yelling names at him so he could say them as they were going. It was so perfect, and the brutality and intense nature of some of this violence and some of these jokes, it culminates so well at the end of the show, and the finale really does cap off all of the things that we grew to love about this series, whether it be the ridiculous humor, the dynamic between the characters, all of that. And if I have a complaint about this show, it's just the fact that sometimes, tonally, there was a bit of an up and down. We would go from really sad to really jokey, and the moment where he kills his dad, again, Vigilante kind of chimes in there, and they play it for laughs. I do wish that moment specifically, they would have just kept it emotional. It did fit with the characters, the fact that they were ridiculous about it. But there were some times where some very emotional things happen, and I wish they would have just stuck with that emotion. But that is a minor complaint in the grand scheme of a show that I was excited for. But I'll be honest with you guys, I saw the trailers, and I said, I don't know if this is going to be as good as the Suicide Squad, because I love the Suicide Squad. But it is. Peacemaker is, in my opinion, one of the better DC shows we've ever seen, because they have turned a D-level, maybe not even a D-level character, a character that really no one knew anything about. I love comic books, and I didn't know very much about Peacemaker at all. They've turned him into a beloved character in this universe, and he's not quite there yet, but he's on his way. Bo Burnham, and you're on your way. And I believe that John Cena's performance continued to get better as the show progressed, and I'm looking at John Cena now, and I'm saying, this guy has some acting chops. The scene where he is playing the piano at the end of the episode, I thought, and I kind of hoped that would be the final scene of the episode. It wasn't, but I thought that was one of the best moments we've ever seen from Cena, ever. When he murders his father, when we see him playing the piano, when we get those flashbacks of he and his brother. That storyline was fantastic, by the way, because it gave him another reason to hate his father. Clearly, that was his father's fault. Technically his, but that was his father's fault. And the side characters, this team, each character, the way that they act towards the other, bringing us Vigilante. I think my ultimate comparison to Vigilante is if Andy Samberg played Deadpool, that's Vigilante. If Andy Samberg played Deadpool, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I think it's hilarious. I think he is an awesome... I would love to see him in a Suicide Squad project in the future, and I would love to see James Gunn continue to come back and continue to make his imprint on this DC universe. All in all, guys, Peacemaker was great. I'm going to go ahead and give you my score. If you're still here and you want to leave your thumbs up down below, I appreciate it. My score, it's a 90%. It's a 90% for a show that is truly entertaining, fun, hilarious, action-packed, all those things, synonyms. All right? Thank you again for watching. Appreciate it big time. Stay tuned. I will be seeing The Batman sooner than later. So my review will be coming when the embargo lifts. I'll see you soon.